Back again, Volksworld 2023, and coming through here, there's a lot of super dope buses over here. One of the really nice ones that I ran into today is this Tayco bus that you're gonna see here that I've got. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it's sitting super low. It's got some line bug suspension on it. It looks like line bug wheels on there.
No, they're actually one-off, designed by myself.
One off a machine. We're gonna get into that. So, Reform is the company. It's owned by Harry Knoel, right? Well, I got Harry Knoel here, and he's gonna tell us a little bit about this bus. And it was built for Stu Radford. So go ahead and tell me the story about this bus.
So, 19 months ago, it came to the workshop to us, just for a little bit of welding work at the start, with a previous business partner at the time. And we started digging into it, you know, got a bit of the front panels done, and then got to the front arch section here. And when I was digging away, I thought, this doesn't feel like metal, it's definitely something else. And both front arch sections on the driver's and passenger side were held on with bathroom sealant.
Oh wow, caulking? They put caulking to hold it in place.
Literally, they put caulking all over it, and that's what was holding it together.
They weren't even welded?
No, nothing was welded. I could pull it off with my hand.
Oh,
so I ended up pulling it all the way by hand. By which point, when we started digging into it, we realised that the whole, like everything, so the floor, most of the floor section, so around this area here, and especially under where those seats are there, was completely gone. It was like a sieve.
So both rockers, the outriggers, everything you had to replace.
Yeah, it was all pretty much gone. It was done. So pretty much most of the metal work from below that blue line there has all been replaced.
Okay.
Near enough.
Tell me about the wheels.
So the wheels that's something I've always played with. Since I was younger, I used to work at an engineering company, and got to play a lot with design work and running CAD machines and engineering. So it was always kind of like a little hobby, but it was a job at the time as well. So I play around designing the odd bits and bobs, and when Stu said, well, we need to do some wheels for it, you know, we need to make it real special. And I went, well, do you mind if we draw something up?
Sure.
You know, I'll sit down on some CAD and we'll make something different, something one-off. He wanted something completely different nobody else has got. So okay, let's do it. But it needed to be clean, tidy. I didn't want them to be too garish, to, you know, be too crazy.
Yeah, you can go wrong with the VW wheel real quick.
Oh, real quick, yeah. And so in the end, we designed these up and he went, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. We decided not to go with, the only aluminium on those wheels is the inner barrels and the centres themselves. The centres are billet T6 6061. They're done in Cerakote, tungsten. So it's a really, really nice coating, to be honest. It's decent satin, because it's got to play with textures a bit. There's a lot of shiny stuff, but there's a lot of nice satin stuff as well, so it all complements itself quite well. But the wheels are, so the lips are stainless. They are, well, they're Radinox lips. Ease of cleaning more than anything. They stay nice and shiny for a lot longer. Much easier to keep clean. All the hardware is stainless as well. So, although it's a show van, we wanted to build it so we can actually use it. Because there's a lot of stuff that comes out to these shows, you know, it'll turn up on a trailer. You know, the only time it ever actually rolls or gets driven is from the trailer into the show. This thing, he'll be able to jump in it and drive it wherever he wants.
It's built to drive. Yeah. Now, what's the air suspension you have on here?
So the air suspension on the rear, that's all been designed, manufactured in-house. So we've used some billet and we've fabricated rear arms for it to allow it for the optimum drop. We've used Linebugs MOA air suspension bags for the front and the rear, and we've used Linebugs T2 front beam. But with the front beam, we've had to custom. At the time, they didn't have the bags out and available.
Yeah, he doesn't do
splits.
Craig doesn't do a front beam, right? He's just releasing the front beams right now. Yeah. So this is a pre-prototype.
This is pre-prototype. Yeah. So what we did, we're talking to Craig quite a lot. I've had a lot to do with Craig with it throughout the build. At the start, we had the smaller bags on. We ended up having to change those over to go with the HDs, which are still, you know, it does have to try to air up. I'm not going to lie, it does have its difficulties, but it came out really well. We ended up having to extend the Linebug beam by 3.5 inches. We put 3-inch tubs on the front to account for the beam height, and to allow for obviously the optimum drop with the bags as well, because they're quite long bags for the beams on these.
So you have the front shock bags that he has.
So we've tried to retain it as best to what, because this doesn't add any body drop or anything. The only thing it has had is the front tubs.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of buses out here that are, I mean, like they're laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And you've got to have some serious modifications to lay a bus on the rocker. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and this is there.
And some of them are undrivable. You know what I mean? And so this thing, when it airs up, how high does this thing air up?
Pretty much near enough to stock height.
Oh wow! So you can bring it up high enough where you can comfortably clear, especially out here the roads, the ingress egress is real steep.
The biggest thing over it, I mean, the road quality in the UK is not the best anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like driving across the moon in most places.
Now, how big are the tubs in the front of this?
So the tubs are, off the top of my head, they're about 2.5 to 3 inches.
And that front tire tucks up all the way in there. And that front beam's narrowed how much?
It's a 4-inch narrowed front beam.
Okay. And now as far as drivetrain, what'd you guys pick for drivetrain in this thing?
So the drivetrain is 1776 engine. I can't remember the company that built it now. I think Stu. What's the name of the company that built the engine, mate?
Let's get Stu over here. Let's get the money man over here. Stu. This is Stu. This is Stu's bus. This is Stu's builder.
Right. His name's Jason Arch from the Aircold Hut.
Okay.
In Mansfield, Nottingham.
Nice. And the motor, it's got plenty of power for you. Cruises quite along.
I'm hoping so. We've not really run it in yet. It's done exactly 1 mile from rebuild.
Now, what's the story on this bus? Was this bus in the middle of a tragic situation getting it over here? Because the bus originally, it's left-hand drive.
It's left-hand drive from California originally.
Right.
The guy I bought it off, he bought it in 2011. Run it for 10 years. Then it came up for sale 2 years ago. We went to look at it. Darren went to look at it with me. The guy who bought it off told me it wanted a couple of grand's worth of welding doing, in and out of front balances. So then it went down to Harry's, they cut into it, and
it was
nothing left.
Start from the beginning.
It had rotted from the inside out.
How much flash band did we pull out of it?
Yeah. They stripped the interior out, and over here for like putting roof tiles up, we used like a flash banding tape, a bituminous tape that sticks, and all the inside of the floor, the sides, the roof, is covered in 12-inch flash band, but you can't get it off. Well, it's my worst nightmare because I am a roofer. I'm a flat roofer. That's my worst nightmare. We come into a job and we see flash band. You can't get it off.
So when you go to work, you get off work. The last thing you want to do is smell the asphalt content of the flash band that you have, and now it's impregnated in this.
Yeah, but I do love the smell of bitumen. I do love the smell of bitumen. It was just a nightmare. So the only thing was to dip it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We dipped it.
So you dip the whole car. They have dipping companies out here in the UK.
Yeah.
So you dip this whole thing. You pulled the front suspension. Well, I can't say pulled it. You just uncaulked the front suspension or the front metal work, and then started welding it back together. Now, who did the paint and everything?
Go on. There's a story. There's a story behind the paint.
So the paint. So originally, it went to a company in Stoke-on-Trent. Which, I mean, how long was it gone for? About a month, 2 months?
3 months. He wanted it for 2 weeks, and it was gone for 3 months.
It came back from paint, and the quality of it was not the greatest in the world.
And you delivered it metal finished, ready to go, prepped and primed?
Everything ready to go. It came back, the quality wasn't great, so in the end, we decided to, after quite a long, hefty debate, we decided
really hefty debate.
To redo it again. Because it was, for the standard we wanted to do it needed to be right.
And you get so deep in a project where it's like, we've spent this much money, we're not going to put
this much time. It's a
rubbish paint job on it.
At the end of it, it's not just about, a job, the money
Correct.
of it. It's got to be right. You've got to put your heart and soul into these things. They've got to be correct. I mean, the amount of my life, evenings-wise, privately, there's been...
To be fair, you've not had a deal of life in the last 18 months, have you?
But
I'm very lucky my missus has dealt with it.
Listen, we all need women in our lives that support us in these stupid hobbies that we have that are ridiculous and don't make any sense on any rational term. But the reality is, as you guys sit back now and look at this project, how do you feel it ended up?
I just feel like a massive sense of relief. All that stress now it's been in here, all that stress is gone, and it's just time to enjoy it now.
It's a huge deadline, right? To try to meet to get to Volksworld and get here. And now, how have you felt with regards to the reception of this bus?
Really good, really good. It's had a really good crowd around it all weekend.
So, tell me about the Tayco on the bus.
That's a tracing. We did a tracing of the original sign writing before it was dipped. So Tayco, as far as I know, is the guys were Bill Taylor.
Bill Taylor made the Tayco linkage.
Tayco linkage, and we seem to think it might have been a Tayco shop van.
Was it underneath on the paint?
Yeah.
From research we've done, from going off of the vehicle details, the vehicle numbers, the VIN plates and everything, it does appear to have been. I can't 100% confirm it because I don't want to get crucified on anything, but from what we can tell, it is an original Tayco parts van. Because the sign writing was correct for what it should have been. It was in the right place for where it should have been for those vans. And there's not a lot of reference material to go off to find the logos. And the only other logos I could find online were on a Beetle.
Yeah, like a Beetle boot lid.
Yeah, Beetle boot lid is the only stuff I could find. So from what I can tell, it is possibly one of their shop trucks.
So there's a lot of history on this bus, not just the history of what's gone into building it, but also the history of where it came from, the history of it already being in the UK for 10 years before you got it right, and now this bus is completely reborn, and that's part of the challenge, right? When you buy somebody else's bus, it's like, oh, you've got Ricky's old bus, or whatever they're going to say.
We did get that. Yeah, that's Nick's old bus, and
right.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of motivation. Like, they're not going to say it's Nick's old bus anymore.
No.
Nick never had a bus like this.
No, Nick didn't have a bus like this. No.
Well, I think you guys did a fantastic job, and your shop is Reform
Automotive.
Reform Automotive. And how old are you?
I'm 25.
25. Wow, you're in for a life of deadlines and car builds and stuff. But I think the end result is it kind of speaks for itself. It's a magnificent bus. This thing is just, I love the rack. I love the spotlight in the front. I mean, this thing is oozing with style. And the fabrication, you guys fabricated that to work, or is it decorative?
It's really decorative, to be fair. The guy called Mark Sinbad Smith, I think his name, he makes these. This is similar, a replica.
Nice.
He trades as swamp coolers in the UK.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think you guys did a great job, and I love it, man. So I see you guys got a top 20. You got a top 20 award. Yeah. So what does that mean? That means you're in the top 20.
Top 20, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad turnout. Is this your first build, complete build?
This is the first complete build to come out of my shop. Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, guys.
Yeah, brilliant.
Great story, man. I love it.
No, it's been awesome. The team involved's been amazing, and Sam Barrett with the paintwork, he blew that out of the water.
And who did the paint?
Sam Barrett.
Sam Barrett?
Yeah, Sam Barrett. Yeah. He absolutely knocked that out of the park. It's come out phenomenal. I mean, the sign writer that came out and redid the sign writing, he did that to a perfect standard, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the paint, it wasn't painted in a booth, it painted in a normal industrial unit.
It's painted in my workshop.
Yeah,
with no extraction, no heating. We had to do with what we had.
Yeah.
To try and save you as much money as we could, didn't we? Really, because
you had to stop the bleeding.
We're trying to. It's a good job I've got an understanding wife, to be fair.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, great job, and I definitely love the bus, man.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.